What about proposals to shorten the interval between the two doses of vaccines and the booster shot? That was being pushed earlier this morning by Octa Research and by the Go Negosyo Group. Sabi nila, why 6 months? Why not 4 months na lang? I can see Doc Rontgene already reacting. Doc, sige Doc. Go ahead.
Yeah. Dapat akala siguro nila candy ang binibigay natin sa mga tao, no? May mga data on that, no? Na hindi naman pwedeng kung gusto nating i-shorten, okay na tayo, no? The data is really compelling that if you give it 6 months or more, then you have better protection. If you give it less than 6 months, you may not be able to optimize the protection that you had when you give it at 6 months, no? So in terms of that, no, even US did not recommend for a shorter interval from the primary vaccine series. Other countries did not. They still follow the 6 months because that's the data. Okay. So we need to follow that. No? We need to follow that. Hindi natin pwedeng i-shorten kung wala namang data na mas maganda ang less than 6 months over more than 6 months.
Well, I mean, let me squeeze this in lang before we let go of the peg. I think one study they were citing this morning, yung Octa Group as well as yung Go Negosyo Group, was one done in the UK. I forget which agency, Health Services something agency. Apparently, their findings were one of their findings was that in the case of AstraZeneca, by the 5th or 6th month, zero na raw or almost zero na raw yung efficacy niya against Omicron. I don't know how big the population was of their study, but that was what was cited kanina.
Now remember, no, when AstraZeneca had their study in South Africa, when they have the Beta variant, in fact, that was only 10% neutralization, and nobody developed severe cases. Okay, and until now, no, based on their new data, it can still hold through with the 6 months, no, even if you say that bumaba yung neutralizing antibody. So again, the point here is that you have other aspects in the vaccine, no? And most of this data will still be, they're still good as long as it's not more than 6 months.
Doc Ana, do you share that view? Kasi sabi ng Department of Health kanina, the vaccine expert panel is actually studying this proposal to shorten the interval between the second dose and boosters, especially for the elderly and immune compromised. Meron na bang, what's your view on this?
Well, both of us, Dr. Jean and myself, are also in that team, no? So that's going to come up in the meeting sooner than later. I think the thing we need to remember is that we have also the experience with other vaccines to tell us that when we talk about boosters, typically a longer interval between the initial series is more helpful than a shorter interval. And when you shorten the interval, at some point later on, you'll probably need to give another dose.
Yes.
So the question actually is as much an issue of what's the best schedule and can we wait for that best schedule? Kasi siguro consideration din nga naman talaga kung kunwari nagsimula ng kumalat ang Omicron or nakakita na tayo ng local transmission, kung kunwari makikita natin may idadagdag na pakinabang yung giving the boosters earlier, baka ma-force to good din tayo. No? So I think that's why it's on the table. It's not totally, hindi natin yan i-discuss. We always want to look at the data and see what the best options are and what are the other acceptable options.
Well, beyond the interval between the second dose and the booster, there's also talk about a probable need for several boosters. Siguro daw, baka every 3 months. Is that a plausible scenario, considering what we're seeing now?
Baka hindi naman ganun ka-frequent. Sana naman hindi.
Quarterly naman yan.
You know, I can actually imagine that happening. If you have another variant, it's totally possible, di ba? Kasi kaya naman nag-take off yung issue about boosters in our country is really also because of the threat of Omicron. Nung hindi pa naman yan dumating, parang we were actually looking at, sige, let's observe, let's see what the best schedules are. Pero nung dumating Omicron, na fast track lahat.